Hi, this is Bob Papa, voice of the New York Football Giants, and this is the Big Blue UK and Ireland podcast.
Welcome back, Giants fans, to the latest edition of the Big Blue UK and Ireland podcast. As always, in association with Andy's Man Club, lads, remember it is okay to talk. This week we are 100% British, but absolutely still 100% Giants. We are back in our usual slot this week, 8:30 Wednesday evening, following our live 5.5-hour extravaganza last Thursday. And tonight we're going to be having a closer look at the Giants draft class of 2024. Last week's live stream has turned out to be our most watched live stream so far, and by far the biggest live show we've done. And it was amazing to be together in the same room. So, it's just a huge, massive thank you to everyone that tuned in, whether you were with us for 5 minutes or for the full 5.5 hours. You hardy people, you that stayed with us till 5 a.m. We really do appreciate every single one of you, and also to those that donated to our fundraiser for Andy's Man Club as well. Your money will make a big difference, and so we can't thank you enough. For those that did donate and won a prize in the giveaway, you should have been contacted by us by now. However, if you haven't been, let us know and we'll sort your prizes out ASAP. But lads, it's a week on from the draft already. How are we doing?
Yeah, I think I've just about recovered now. It was a long weekend. It was a kind of hectic Thursday night. I feel like it was kind of blinked and it was gone. But it's even though it's the first time we've done it, it's weird doing a podcast with you guys over a computer now instead of in person. It was good doing it last week, to be fair, along with Kev as well. Just echo your sentiments. Thanks ever so much to anyone who joined at any point at all, and if you stayed with us for all 5.5 hours till the very end, much appreciated. The interaction and content we got from you guys was amazing. It's kind of the lull starts to begin there now. The draft's all over. It's all done for another year.
It's interesting. Kieran's just said, great show on draft night. Was watching abroad and couldn't comment for some reason. Great to see Shane was able to stay around after our pick. It's a good job Shane was able to stay around after our pick, because without that, we wouldn't have had the meme-worthy moment of me and Shane discovering that Michael Penix had gone to the Falcons. And if you haven't seen the TikTok, have a look at that on our TikTok page, because it is brilliant. There's almost 2,000 views
on that. Insta, right?
Yeah, it is on Insta. There's over 2,000 views on TikTok, and I'm pretty sure me and Shane are about 1,000 of those. Just us, because it's so stupid. But no, it was amazing. It was tiresome towards the end. I think the delirium kind of started to set in a little bit. The early morning coffee hit differently. Our taxi driver who drove us back to the hotel was like, "Oh, you tired? You tired already? Not sleep well?" It's like, didn't sleep. Didn't sleep. He took that personally as well, didn't he? He absolutely fired us back to that hotel.
Yeah, it was like, what is this sleep you speak of?
Yeah. We need some quick. But that was a great night when it was like I said, it was great being in the same room as you guys doing the live stream, and it was, hopefully the first of many occasions that we do that, because it was great fun. Like I said, it sort of did get to the point where it was a little bit delirious and going crazy with the fact that we've been live for over 5 hours. But I wouldn't change a minute of it, because it was a great night, and we thoroughly enjoyed it, and we hope those that watched and listened along enjoyed it as well. As usual, let us know your thoughts and questions by dropping them in the comments, and we'll do our best. Any questions, we'll do our best to get them answered. Also, when we get into our selections for this year's draft as well, it'd be good to hear anyone that's watching along this evening. It'd be good to hear who you were looking at when it came to the Giants pick on the board. So again, sort of drop those players in the comments, and we'll see what Shane had to think about those as well. Check out our social platforms too by following the links in the description, and feel free to like and share if you're watching. Before we get cracking, there is an announcement to make, is there not, I believe, Producer Craig?
Yeah, I think before we actually do the announcement, it's probably best to throw over to Shane. It's just me who's putting the little graphic up. So, Shane, you take it.
Pressure now. Yeah, no, it's nothing too earth-shattering. Not, we don't need no breaking news alert or anything like that. But we've kind of been having a chat amongst us, and for this year, we're going to look at running the first Big Blue UK and Ireland Dynasty Sleeper League. So I'll just spend a couple of minutes talking about what it's going to be. So for those of you that are familiar with fantasy football, you should be familiar with what a dynasty league is, but essentially it's going to be drafting and you keep that team for as long as this league essentially keeps on running. There will be a few kind of rules in regards to it. So there will be a paid entrance fee. The reasons paid entrance fees, a couple of different reasons. Firstly, is it keeps people invested and motivated. If you kind of put money up there and there's going to be money to win. We're looking at doing it around about 12 people joining. I imagine all four of us, Craig, Dan, myself, and Kev will be part of it as well. So that'll be 8 spots available. And the reason there's going to be an entry fee on top of keeping people invested is what we want to look at doing is making it say something like £20 entry. That makes it like what 240 pounds. Yeah, my maths ain't great. But I've learned that beat from the lab. 240 pounds. About 30 to 50 pounds of that is going to be used to get a trophy that the winner of the league will then get to keep for 12 months. And then if you are able to repeat, you get to keep the trophy again. If you're unable to repeat, it'll obviously go to the new winner. So we're going to look at getting a trophy done. And what I would just turn in and say is, firstly, it is only open to UK residents, unfortunately. I dread to think of the shipping costs of trying to send a trophy halfway around the Atlantic to anyone in America. So, I do apologise for that, first of all. But also I would say, please do only enter if you're invested in it. We don't want people dropping out after 5 or 6 game weeks. The reason it's going to be a dynasty is to try and keep you a little bit more invested. And there'll be different drafts to start up. There'll be the vet draft, and then there'll be a separate rookie draft that's going to go in reverse order to the actual draft, which might make it a little bit confusing, but it will make sense at some point. So all I'll say is, if you are interested, drop us a DM on Twitter, and we'll get back to you. And then hopefully what we look at doing as well is maybe creating a WhatsApp group if people are happy to give their numbers, just try and make sure we're keeping the interaction going. It will be run on Sleeper. I'm sure Kev will be pretty pissed at that. But I did make a deal with him last week, which will be revealed at a later date. So yeah, if you are invested, please do interested, drop us a DM. If you've got any questions about it as well, I'll answer any questions, etc. The format's kind of up in the air at the minute. I'm hoping to maybe make it a Superflex League, which is kind of the big new thing these days, which essentially means you're going to have 2 quarterbacks in your starting roster. But again, all that will be discussed at a later date. We'll put it down to votes as to what kind of league people want. If people want kickers and defenses and all that kind of jazz. So yeah, if you're interested, please just drop us a DM. And like I say, we're looking for 12 people, essentially 8 if we took us 4 out of that 12.
And just to clarify, that doesn't affect the other leagues, the 3 leagues that we'll do as well going forward. We'll still have those going. Steve's stirring the pot. What's Kev's beef with Sleeper? We're not sure.
You can save for next week.
I think he just prefers NFL, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Each to their own, I suppose. I quite like Sleeper. It's a decent platform. I'm already in the league, so yeah, looking forward to it. Get involved, peeps. Hopefully be a good year, and there'll be a nice little trophy up for grabs. But looking forward to that. And before we get into the draft picks, we're as usual. We're going to start off with the latest news and rumours. Craig, you're up first. Some sad news.
Yeah, unfortunately, Friday morning, so just after we had finished up the draft, it came out that 28-year-old ex-Giants offensive tackle Korey Cunningham was found dead at his home in New Jersey. Unfortunately, it would seem that the death was self-inflicted. Cunningham, who moved to the Giants in 2021 after stints with Arizona and New England, made 31 career appearances with 6 starts. In his 2 years with the Giants, he played in 13 games, the majority of those in the first year. He only made 1 appearance in the second. Despite his limited snaps, he was extremely well thought of in the locker room with multiple players, including Graham Gano, Darius Slayton, and Casey Kreiter, all mentioning how he was always happy and had an infectious energy around the building. Justin Pugh, who played with him in 2018 after Cunningham was drafted by the Cardinals, mentioned that Korey was the only person that got invited to the weekly Giant O-line dinners last season. And he was the only one who wasn't on the team who was able to attend, purely down to how well he was thought of. Our thoughts go out to Cunningham's family and friends at this time. And just remember that if anybody out there is struggling, remember there is always help out there in the UK and in the US. For those in the UK, obviously we've got places like Andy's Man Club, which is one of our main partners, Samaritans, or the National Suicide Prevention Helpline. Dan is on mute. He will realise.
I'm off mute now.
There we go.
Yeah, really sad news about Korey. He's obviously only on the team 2021, 2022. So it wasn't too long ago that he was on the team. And yeah, thoughts go out to his friends, his family, and his loved ones. And remember, there's always help out there for you if you are struggling. So it's a shame, but we move on. And I'm sure he'll live in the memory of a lot of the players that he was in the locker room with. So yeah, a good player, a decent player, and his life's come to an end way too early. Shane, you're up next.
Yes, so just going to talk about obviously the Giants before we get into the draft picks, the draft pick that they potentially tried to make and the trade they attempted to make in regards to the last-ditch effort to trade up for a quarterback. So obviously we took Malik Nabers at number 6, who we're going to talk about shortly. But Ian Rappaport did reveal that the Giants attempted to convince New England Patriots to trade the number 3 pick to them, so the Giants could look to draft Drake May themselves. The rumoured trade on offer was number 6 this year, number 47 this year, and next year's first rounder. However, it hasn't been confirmed, but I think we can all quite safely say, with different places that have come out saying somewhat similar, that was the offer. It kind of seemed for the Giants it was Drake May or no one, as Penix, Nix, and McCarthy were still available when they were on the clock at 6, but eventually Malik Nabers was the selection. Those 3 quarterbacks would all end up going with the next 6 picks, squashing the idea of trading back into the first, which I know was the dream. Is that the right word?
The hope.
What had been mentioned about us doing, maybe trading up into the late 20s. And obviously, there's a lot of people on Twitter or X that aren't happy that the Giants passed on a first-round quarterback. The dust has settled. A few days to reflect on it. What are your thoughts on this now, looking back at it, Dan?
I mean, the Giants Twitterverse makes me laugh. Always makes me laugh. But I mean, I did say on the night I don't think we drafted a quarterback at all, and obviously, and we didn't. I'm in a way I'm glad it gives Dabes the chance to work with DJ again. But at the same time, it's something like I said. It's almost like what could have been. We could have had that Drake May, Eli Manning version 2. We could have had a top level talent at quarterback that, it's not worked out for DJ. So there's a lot of DJ. No, there's a lot of negativity around him. So he's not proven himself to be a number 6 overall pick so far. I think obviously after we tried to move up and it didn't work, I think Shane and Dave then thought, you know what, best player available. And throughout the rest of the draft, I think we didn't make any trades. We stuck with where we were at. We selected 6 players, and so it made you think, okay, they tried to make the trade, didn't work. All right, let's stick with what we've got, and draft the best player available. Was I disappointed that looking back at it that we didn't go for a quarterback in the first round? A little bit. But was I surprised? No. And did I expect us to draft a quarterback? No. So I'm kind of happy that we didn't, to be fair.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me one bit that it didn't happen. I think there was a lot of smokescreen around. Joel being the biggest smokescreen for some reason. I'm not sure where that came from. I think it was all really set. You know, there were murmurs before the draft that it looked like the Patriots would stick and pick. And after those sort of top three, you look at any analysts' rankings, and it was always going to be a reach to take them at 6, and it was always going to be a gamble to go down. And look how it played out on the night with the Falcons taking Penix. You know, nobody saw that coming. So, you know, trading back, passing up on generational talent like Nabers has the potential to be, and then settling for whatever we had to settle with because those quarterbacks disappeared in front of our very eyes. I'm kind of glad with what we did do. I'm not going to mention reaching because I think Shane's going to speak about that in a second. But you know, it is good that we didn't do it. I get why people are upset, but I also feel like Jones was always going to be the potential quarterback this year anyway, and there's a lot different. I've been doing some research for another thing for later on in a few episodes' time, where we're going to start talking about the state of play of the Giants and different positional groups. And I found out that we only had 2 games in the entirety of last season where we had our 5 starting offensive linemen play every snap. You know, the consistency's not there. Am I upset he's going to get another chance, Jones? No. Am I upset that we didn't take a quarterback? No, because it just didn't happen. The stars didn't align. So, you know, it is what it is.
Yeah, exactly. And you mentioned we obviously settled for Malik Nabers. I don't think we settled for him.
No.
If I'm sure if the clock wasn't ticking, I'm sure if there was no clock, the card would have probably been in within the first 30 seconds of us being on the clock. So, you know, I think we've got ourselves a fantastic talent, which we'll come on to shortly. But Shane, you were concerned about the Giants going for JJ McCarthy there. Do you think it's a case of not reaching for a quarterback like we did with Jones?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a couple of different things. I think it was quite clear that it was going to be Drake May or no quarterback, in all honesty. We were going to trade up and take Drake May at number 3, or we were going to go wide receiver at 6. And I think it was kind of a mix of sticking to your board, which Joe Shane, to be fair to him, does seem to do. We've not seen that with previous general managers. And kind of let's face facts, there was plenty of smoke screen surrounding the Giants. Nobody really knew who the Giants were going to be drafting last Thursday night. We all said it. If we don't go up to 3, it'll probably be a wide receiver. We didn't know which wide receiver it was going to be. And I was watching the NFL Network the other day, and I think it might have been Mike Garafolo said he spoke to a source who inside the Giants and asked him about the Joe Alt rumour. And he was like, and the source who in the Giants said, look, the draft 3 days ago, and none of you still know what we were going to do. Like the Giants did really well at keeping it under wraps, to be fair to him. In regards to JJ McCarthy, it's an intriguing one because obviously I get people want a new quarterback. I want a new quarterback. I'm done with Daniel Jones, in all honesty. I'll say that now. Excuse me. I think Daniel Jones only stays with the Giants if he passes for 30 touchdowns next season and 8 to 10 interceptions at the complete most. I think if he does anything below that, he's going to be gone kind of no matter what. And the thing is, whether it was JJ we drafted, excuse me, Drake May, even Caleb Williams, for whatever reason, you're still putting a quarterback in a situation with no targets, no nothing. And if you'd have traded up to number 3, which in all honesty, I'm glad we didn't, because if we'd have traded up to number 3, we'd have get up next year's first. We'll lose Drake May throwing to for this season and next season. You'd be relying on trying to bring someone in free agency. Kenny Golladay, anybody? you don't want that all over again. So in a way, I'm kind of glad that they've took the rookie wide receiver. Nabers is electric, and Nabers is an amazing player. And we're going to talk about Nabers in a lot more detail shortly. But he can come in, find his feet through this first year if he has to in the NFL. We can then draft a rookie quarterback next year, and he's not got a rookie wide receiver to throw to. He's got a wide receiver who's a year vested in the league and knows what to do. So for me, I'm glad I didn't draft a quarterback, in all honesty. But at the same time, I'm also done with Daniel Jones.
Yeah, and I think, like Steve says, the thing is, who really knows what 2025 quarterback prospects are going to be like? I mean, they could at the moment be fantastic prospects, but they could have really up and down years. The rankings that are in place now could be, and probably will be, completely different this time next year. The week before the draft next year. So there's potentially going to be some great quarterbacks coming next year as well. But I'm kind of the same boat as you, Shane, in terms of Daniel Jones. I'm almost to the point where I'm done with him now. But he's being paid an extortionate amount of money this year, and he was always going to be the quarterback this year. So I think we just had to sort of suck that up and accept it, really. Shane made the decision to pay him big money, so he's going to be the quarterback until he proves that he can't do it anymore. And I think that this coming season might potentially be his last, unless he has a stellar season. But anyway, we're not going to talk about Daniel. Well, I say we're not going to talk about Daniel Jones too much longer. We are going to talk about Daniel Jones a little bit longer in the fact that this is the rumor of him and Drew Lock having a quarterback battle coming out in the last couple of days. Could there be a sort of more a possibility of a battle than Joe Shane previously let on? If you listen to Daniel Jeremiah's podcast, then you might just start believing we've got that battle on our hands. Excuse me. On his podcast, Daniel Jeremiah was stated as saying, I believe Drew Lock has a really good shot of winning that job, and followed it up with, they were comparing Daniel Jones and Drew Lock, and there was a lot of emphasis on Drew Lock to the quarterbacks that were going to be there in the draft. And I think in the line for them was Drake May. Mike Garofalo is a long-time Giants beat writer, stoked the Flames, adding on path to the draft that they have faith in Daniel Jones to be ready to go in week 1 and be a full participant in training camp. And by the way, they also do believe that Drew Lock has a chance to compete a little bit and maybe push Daniel Jones. We'll see. So the smoke screens of the draft are along in the past, but there's plenty more smoke screens going out at the moment. Do you realistically think the Giants are going to allow Drew Lock to compete, Craig?
I think the Giants would be doing malpractice if they didn't allow Drew Lock to compete in in training camp. I don't think any player, regardless of cap hit, is immune from criticism and the ability to lose their job, especially when you're coming off of a torn ACL. We still don't know if he's definitely going to be ready to go. You look at ACL injuries from the past and how long it takes. And, quarterback is a job where you need to anchor yourself, and, you're going to take hits to the legs, and you can't just throw people into the deep end and hope, especially with our offensive line. Though I will admit, and I will argue this on X until the cows come home, this offensive line is not the same offensive line as it was last year. It's fact. It's not an opinion. It's fact. It's a different offensive line. There's a lot better depth, and there's a lot better players, and we have a brand new coach. There's so many things that are different that it's not the same offensive line. I'm not saying it can't be worse, because it could. I mean, it'd be bloody hard to, but it could. But you can't compare it. So, yeah, like I said, it will be malpractice if they didn't allow a quarterback competition. And at the end of the day, let the best man win, because the best man who wins will be the best man for the Giants.
Is the best man for the Giants Drew Lock, Shane?
The best man for the job is anyone not named Daniel Jones, I think.
Controversial.
I mean, I think it'd be interesting if Daniel's not good to go week 1, because if Daniel's not good to go week 1, Drew Lock's obviously going to get the starting gig, and then depending on how Drew Lock starts the season, it'll be interesting to see what they do when Daniel Jones is then fit. I think I do think they look they like Drew Lock a bit more than I think we realise they like Drew Lock. And let's not forget, this is two quarterbacks that were in the same draft class. Drew Lock was drafted the same year as Daniel Jones, winning the second round, I think it was. So, it'll be interesting to watch. I don't think either of them, in all honesty, is going to give the Giants a winning season. And hopefully, it's going to sound like I'm on the tank train already. Hopefully, they both lead us to getting a high draft pick next year, so we get that quarterback. But yeah, I think just think it's going to be an interesting battle to watch, and I think it might be a more interesting battle than we probably first anticipated when we signed Drew Lock in free agency before the draft happened.
As Jamie says there, Dan. As Jamie says there, Dan, if Tommy D managed to spark a resurgence in that team, surely Lock could.
I mean, I don't see why not. Is DJ realistically going to be ready for week 1?
Who knows?
I know there's been pictures of him on the training field for throwing passes and putting weight on his injured leg. So it's like, the possibility is there that he's ready. But if he's not, then it's Drew Lock's opportunity to grab by the horns. There's engineering works for the tank train. Is it coming off the rail, Steve?
I think the other thing to remember as well is let's be honest, this is injury-prone Daniel Jones. He misses time, so even if Daniel Jones is good to go week 1, let's be honest, who's gonna put a bet on that Daniel Jones suits up for every single game this season? You'd be a brave man, in my opinion. So it might be a case of we see Drew Lock at some point, irrespective, whether it's week 1, because he's either won the battle because Daniel Jones isn't good to go, or because Daniel Jones gets injured later on in the season. We're more than likely going to see Drew Lock starting under centre for us at some point.
Yeah, I think it's almost a guarantee that he is under centre at some point, whether he's starting a game, whether he's coming in. Evening, Kev. Last season, Daniel Jones only played with Andrew Thomas for 1 full game, and then 9 pass attempts before he got injured. It's a great start, that. The rest of the O-line was also bad. Yeah, I mean, the rest of the O-line was awful, but I'm sure throughout the off-season we're going to talk plenty more about the Daniel Jones Drew Lock battle, and then don't forget there's Tommy DeVito in there as well a little bit. But we'll come more onto that as we go into the off-season. Last up, Craig. Let's go through these undrafted free agents.
Yep. Be prepared for anybody who liked the can you pronounce draft names, because we are still rolling. So Daniel Jones, Drew Lock, Tommy DeVito, Liam Thompson, one of our undrafted free agents or mini camp bodies. We've kind of grouped them all together. But Liam Thompson from Wabash, what a great name for a
Wabash.
He's a quarterback. We hit running back Dante Smith from Georgia Tech, wide receivers John Giles from West Florida, Ayer Asante from Wyoming, Chris Ortman-Bell from Minnesota, and Jordan Porter from Connecticut. We've got tight end. That's got
to be Jordan, surely.
Yeah, maybe. Jordan. Yeah. Who knows? Tight end Trayton Pickering from Montana State, Jay McAfee from Georgia Southern University, a metric ton of offensive linemen, literally and weight-wise. Jake Kubas from North Dakota State, Marcellus Johnson from Missouri, William Barnes, North Carolina, J.D. Duplain, Michigan State, Chaz Neal from Florida Athletic. Chaz Neal, who is the cousin of current Giants offensive lineman Evan Neal.
Damn.
And Cameron Stewart from Bowling Green. At defensive tackle, Casey Rogers from Oregon. At edge.
Here we go, Craig. Come on. You first. Let's go.
Ovi Agufu, LSU.
I would go with that as well. Ovi Agufu.
Shane.
Cracking name, right?
Do you know?
Not even going to attempt.
Linebacker, Quay Drake from Jackson State, Elijah Chapman, SMU, Tristan Wheeler from Richmond, and Muasau Funa from Oregon. Defensive back, Alex Johnson. Why can't they all just be called Alex Johnson? Alex Johnson, UCLA. Nas Funch from Montana. Cam Pedescalou from Tulane. Kalen Gervin from Kansas. And finally, a bit of Irish flavour. Jude McIntyre from Rutgers, originally from Derry. In fact, grew up just 20 miles away from where Kev grew up. So that is all of them. We'll dive deeper into the names above next week when Kev returns. But Shane, were you aware of any of these players?
There was 3 whose names I knew. John Giles, just because Giles is spelt interesting. That was why that name stood out for me when I first seen it. Marcellus Johnson from Missouri and Casey Rogers from Oregon.
Yeah, Jamie said Oregon reunion with Jordan Riley there.
Nice, and yeah, the Giants kicking room is now Scottish and Irish. So
completely Scottish and Irish, yeah.
Yeah, buddy.
And we've got the Brit in Jermaine Illuminor.
Mate, the Giants are flying the flag for these Fair Isles, aren't they?
Just need a Welsh dragon in there somewhere.
Yeah. Shame we couldn't sign Lewis Rees-Zammit, wasn't it?
I mean, he got to go to the Chiefs. Just while we're on that, actually, I just want to give a quick shout out to Travis Clayton, who is from Basingstoke, who was drafted in the 7th round, I believe, by the Buffalo Bills.
First pick in the 7th round, yeah.
Yeah, for somebody who has never played American football at any level, college or above, that's massive for the English game, massive for the IPP program. And considering I work with somebody who knows him personally and spoke to him yesterday in Basingstoke as he was saying goodbye to his work colleagues, big up for Travis. It was really nice to watch on that Saturday and hear his name get called.
Yeah, man, love it. Travis Clayton, England.
It even said Basingstoke. It came up with Daniel Jeremiah's like little scouting thing. Basingstoke, England, get in.
Yeah, love it. But no, quality, and congrats to Travis for being selected. It's not an easy task, There's only 257 players selected in the draft, and to be one of them, fantastic. Well done, mate. It's great news, and we'll be watching your career with Buffalo very, very closely. Right then, on to the draft class of 2024. We came in with 6 picks. We left with 6 picks after that failed negotiation with the Patriots in round 1. We stuck with those original 6 that we had coming into the weekend. There's a lot to talk about with each one of them. So, Shane, round 1, number 6 overall. I think we all know who we went with by now, but...
Yeah, so what I'll say just before we start is, obviously, as we're talking about these players, if any of our live listeners or watchers have got any opinions on the players, if you want to put your thoughts up, and I'm sure Craig can put it on screen and we can, just shout out what your thoughts were on each pick afterwards. But first of all, number 6 overall, we took wide receiver Malik Nabers out of LSU. So a bit of history on Nabers. He played high school football at Camus, is that? Camus? For 3 years before he then transferred to Southside High School for his senior season. He was unable to play, though, due to a denied transfer waiver. Despite this, he was still ranked as the 18th best wide receiver. He did originally commit to Mississippi State before switching to LSU. 3 years at LSU, he played in 38 games with 31 starts. He was targeted 275 times, making 190 receptions for just over 3,000 yards. And 1,252 of those yards were after contact. He also had 21 touchdowns. His 190 receptions and 3,015 yards are also both school records. Last season, he posted 1,469 receiving yards, which was second best in the FBS, and his 14 touchdowns were third best. His 89 receptions led the SEC, and he was also named MVP of the Citrus Bowl, as well as being a finalist for the Blentykoff Award, which is given to the nation's top wide receiver. He was also a first-team Associated Press All-American and a first-team All-SEC player, so you can see kind of maybe why the Giants were slightly intrigued at number 6 overall. So we just talk about his strengths and weaknesses. So his strengths, he's a gliding athlete with acceleration to separate early or late in the route. Reliable downfield target on seams, corners and posts. And he had at least one catch of 20 plus yards in all 12 regular season games in 2023. Explosive plays are his weapon of choice. 78.7% of his catches in 2023 resulted in a first down or a touchdown. He led the SEC in catches each of the last 2 seasons. He's only the second player in school history with multiple 1,000 receiving seasons, joining Josh Reed. Weaknesses, because every player, they have a weakness at the end of the day, whether you're a rookie or you're a 4 or 5 year vet in the league. He does have average size and lacks ideal bulk. His weight kind of fluctuated between 195 and 205 pounds in college. I'm sure some of us wish we could just fluctuate between that weight and not the weight that we're probably at. He relies on his body to finish grabs more than you'd like as well. He had 5 drops in 2023. Play strength is adequate, but he will find a tougher time at muscling NFL corners. So overall, Nabers has only average size and strength, but he does offer that dynamic potential because of his ability to accelerate and de-accelerate on command. Always makes himself available with his athletic catch point skills, and he projects as a playmaking receiver in the NFL. Now, pre-draft, Malik Nabers was ranked as Dane Brugler's wide receiver 2 in this draft class, with Jordan Reed having him ranked as the 3rd best player in his top 400. He was the second wide receiver off the board, yeah. And, we've took a player at number 6 that Jordan Reed had at number 3. So you can certainly say that we had value there. In regards to draft grades from analysts and publications, Chad Reuter gave the grade a B+, saying if Nabers proves agile enough to win against NFL cornerbacks at the top of the route, he could become one of the league's best receivers in time. PFF rated it very good, saying instead of packaging picks to move up or sticking at number 6 to bring in JJ McCarthy, they'll bring an explosive receiver into a receiving corps that's in the need of talent. And Jordan Reed's value was bargain. Nabers brings an electrifying presence to the Giants. New York showed that they believe in Daniel Jones under center. Okay. And got him a true wide receiver 1.
Not convinced.
Yeah, I don't know about that, Jordan, a friend of the show. I don't know if they do believe in Daniel Jones, but they certainly got him a wide receiver 1. I'll agree with that much.
So a few things just in the comments. So Jamie said that apparently he's got a 10k cash bet with Jaden Daniels for Offensive Rookie of the Year. Love that. That's impressive. That's
confidence. It's confidence.
Betting on yourself. Holty, you were saying about the school records. Holty saying school records when you consider the wide receivers that come out of LSU is unreal. JJ, OBJ, Chase, etc. And Kev's also given his official analysis for the podcast. He's a dog. He's a dog.
Love that. But I think we're all pretty happy with Nabers at 6 in round 1, weren't we? I don't think there's any sort of objection to taking him. Obviously, there was obviously the whole thing between him and Roma Dunze ended up going to Chicago at 9. Shane, what do you think Nabers has over Dunze?
It's that. I feel like it's the word that's used to describe him quite a lot, but it's that electrifying playmaker ability. That's the first word that springs to mind when I think of Nabers. It's electrifying. I think we might have said it on Thursday night when we were live streaming. If not, we've certainly said it in the past. But the big difference is you throw the ball 40, 50 yards and Adunze is going to come down with it. You can throw the ball 7 yards to Nabers and he will take it 30 to 50 yards. I think that's kind of he just fitted the Giants' scheme and what they want to do offensively absolutely down to a T. Jamie's spot on. He makes defenders miss at the end of the day. I think it's kind of intriguing as well, I think, because does it maybe show a hand as to what we might see Daniel Jones or Drew Lock do during the season? Are they going to be doing these little short dump-offs, slants, curls, etc., drag routes, creating mismatching, and try and get the quarterback to throw it short and rely on the players to take it to the first down and beyond? So be interesting to see if that's kind of the plan they might be going for this year.
Looking at the sort of the receiving core we've got now, obviously with Nabers, with Hyatt, with Wandale Robinson, Darius Slayton obviously is in there as well. There's 4 legitimately good receivers there, and obviously Hyatt being the absolute speedster that he is. Nabers is quick as well. There's a decent receiving room right there, and they're going to be hopefully potentially great weapons for either Daniel Jones or for Drew Lock or even for Tommy DeVito to throw to and to make plays. So yeah, I'm very, very happy with Malik Nabers, put it that way.
Isaiah Hodgins is probably going to be our slowest wide receiver, and he ran a 4.6. Anyone else fancy just running a 4.6 and being considered slow?
I mean, if I could run a 4.6 any time, that would be fantastic, but that's never going to happen. But yeah, that's quite a scary thought, isn't it, really, that he's going to be our slowest receiver and he ran a 4.640. So our receivers are going to be quick. Craig, you got anything to add on Malik Nabers? Yeah.
No, I think you guys have covered it off completely. The interesting thing is that so many people were clambering for a quarterback that they've kind of glossed over the fact that we now have a potential 1,000-yard a season wide receiver for the first time since Beckham left. Beckham out of the same school, LSU, really did inject life into a wide receiving core at the time that Eli Manning had that was really Victor Cruz and nobody else. And I'm not saying that we have a Victor Cruz on the roster at this time, but I do think that if you have a look at how we are set up to play, and you mentioned speed, I do think that it's going to be a lot of kind of in front of us routes and not kind of waiting for the plays to develop maybe as much. Maybe that will change in training camp as the offensive line starts to maybe show its mettle a little bit more than what we're used to. And if Daniel Jones can just kind of headlights eyes that he seems to be putting on in every press conference I've seen in the past few weeks, we'll get to see that a bit more. But no, I'm happy with the pick. And let's not forget, we took him in a mock draft, and so did 6 other analysts that we also looked at the mock drafts for prior to the draft show.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it was long predicted that he would be coming to New York. I just wanted to touch as well. Obviously, Matt Miller compared him to Jalen Waddle, and I think anyone would bite your hand off. Any Giants fan would bite your hand off to say, we've got a receiver that is like Jalen Waddle coming to our team. Just look at what Jalen Waddle's done in the league over the last couple of years, and he's been outstanding. So to have a receiver of that caliber come to our organisation, I'm thoroughly looking forward to seeing him suit up in blue and take the field, because he's a very, very, very exciting prospect. Alrighty, let's go round 2. Day 2, round 2. Safety Tyler Nubin was selected with the 47th overall pick out of Minnesota. A little bit of history about Tyler Nubin. Played in high school at St. Charles North High School in St. Charles, Illinois. Would mostly appear as both a wide receiver and cornerback. However, he has added Wildcats or quarterback to his repertoire in his senior year. As a senior, he had 51 tackles, 5 tackles for loss, 6 passes defended on defense, while on offense he had 459 yards receiving for 9 touchdowns and 600 yards rushing with 12 touchdowns. So a bit of an all-rounder in high school. At collegiate level, Nubin had offers from Michigan, Tennessee, and Wisconsin. However, he opted for Minnesota. in his 5 years. What's 5 years with the Gophers? He started 43 of 55 games, appeared in recording 207 tackles, 2 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, 11 passes defended, and a school record 13 interceptions. In 2023, he led the team in interceptions with 5, while allowing a team low passer rating of 39.6. He was named to the first team All Big Ten team, as well as the second team All American, and he also picked up 2 Big Ten Defensive Player of the Week awards. Strengths and weaknesses. Some of his strengths: he's got rangy athleticism, allows him to make plays from various alignments in the secondary. Sees the field with instinctive eyes and the whole field vision, as well, to simultaneously look at combinations of routes and looking at the eyes of the quarterback as well. He looks like a wide receiver at catch point and collected more interceptions than any player in Minnesota history, like I said, and recorded 0 coverage penalties as well over the last 2 seasons. His teammates said his competitiveness is infectious and elevates the rest of the team, so that's always good to hear. Weaknesses: his movements show hints of tightness. Pedal and transitions are more efficient and explosive. Ultra protective of his deep responsibilities and gets stuck on his heels, allowing too many front-facing completions, but needs to clean up some timing issues as a blitzer. He's had a couple of offside penalties against North Carolina, but overall, he has conservative tendencies in coverage, but he's a 4-down player with a very good skill set and one that's highly coveted because of his split field range, playmaking instincts, and toughness versus the run. And he's ideally suited for a quarter-based cover 2 scheme in the NFL and be a core special teamer as well. Pre-draft, he was ranked as Dane Brugler's safety 3, and Jordan Reed ranked him as the 63rd best player in his top 400. And then post-draft, the Athletics' Nick Baumgartner and Scott Docterman, I guess not how you say his name, rated him as an A, maybe the most underrated player in the draft, which is always a good thing. Nubin was solid coverage, safety, and tremendous tackler for Minnesota, and he will step in immediately for the outgoing Xavier McKinney and thrive. PFF have graded him as elite. PFF's top-ranked safety prospect is versatile and impactful. He can be moved all over the secondary and handle the role as he possesses a high-level football IQ. And the 33rd team's Ian Valentino graded him as an A as well. He's a fantastic deep ball hawk. The Giants now have an ideal safety tandem to hold down the back end of the unit. New York will benefit from his range and overall presence. Tyler Nubin was in a position of desperate need after McKinney left. And obviously with the run of cornerbacks that went in at the beginning of the second round, I don't think anyone was surprised that we went with Tyler Nubin at 47. What did you make of him, Shane?
Yeah, I mean, I've got to be honest, this might be my favourite pick of the draft class, to be honest with you. I think he's going to be a sneaky good pickup. One thing that's annoying me is people are banging on about his speed. It's not that important. McKinney ran a 4.6. Did we knock McKinney for his poor speed when he was here for the 4 years? Not really. You know, he's got something that you can't. There's certain things that, in my personal opinion, you can't teach. One of them is elite athleticism. You can get better athletically, but you can't teach elite athleticism. And the other one is instincts. And this kid just has pure instincts. It wouldn't surprise me if this pick has been 2 years in the making by the Giants, to be honest with you. The reason I say that is because obviously we drafted John Michael Smith from Minnesota last year. Now, there's no way the Giants scouts were just watching the offense, and then when the defense come off the field, we're like, oh, no, we don't really care. They'll still watch the rest of the game. So it wouldn't surprise me if this player stood out to the scouts last year. So this kind of pick has potentially been 2 years in making. But, you know, I absolutely love it. I think it's a solid pick. It's a need. It's going to be interesting to see how Shane Bowen utilises him. From what I understand, he likes to play 3 safeties a lot. So you'd imagine it's going to be Pinnock, Nubin, and potentially Dane Belton, who again is another intelligent player. Always seems to find the ball. You know, he had a few forced fumbles last year, a few fumble recoveries, and that. So I'll be really interested to see how they do. And if I had to kind of pick, I'd be tempted to get a Nubin jersey now, or would you know? Like, that's how much I like the pick.
Said it yesterday, didn't I? Number 31 he's picked. Ooh,
and if he's ever come from Winfield, who went to Minnesota, then we've got a heck of a safety.
Well, it's interesting you mentioned that, because that was one of the reasons he chose 31, is because of Winfield, and he wanted to pay tribute to him, but also kind of follow him in the fact that he did play at Minnesota. So, yeah, it's Nubin's a real interesting one. It's definitely an area of need, definitely an area that we needed to get a potential starter that was younger. You mentioned Belton there. We also signed the Green Goblin in Jalen Mills, who's also probably going to be in that backfield. So with the Giants probably carrying 4 safeties, there'd probably be a good rotation between Mills and Belton. But Nubin and Pinnock are probably going to be your 2 anchors there, who probably playing the majority of the downs. And yeah, I'm a big fan of it. McKinney was known for being a little bit of a ball hawk, and obviously he pulled off a nice couple of interceptions towards the back end of last season as well. And that's something we're going to miss, especially with the kind of state of our cornerback core. And we're going to get onto the latest addition to that in a second. So yeah, happy with Nubin. And I think the biggest thing that Dan said about his strength was the competitiveness is infectious and elevates the team. And that's exactly kind of what you want from one of your newest players, is to really sort of hone in. And he also had probably one of my favourite draft calls of all of them, proper emotional and really was trying to reiterate to Joe Shane that you've not made a mistake here, and I'm going to give you everything.
Yeah, man, he said all the right things on the phone, didn't he? And I love those little snippets of those videos when they're making the calls. I think that it really sort of gives you an idea about what type of person we're bringing in. But look, on the face of it, he looks like, again, that smart, tough, dependable mantra that has been flying around the team for the last 2 years, and he looks like a really solid, safe pick with in the second round at a position of really desperate need, really. ESPN's Matt Miller said his pro comparison was Justin Simmons of the Denver Broncos. That's not a bad comparison, really. He's a very, very good safety in the league. So I'd be more than happy if we end up with a Justin Simmons type player in the Giants backfield for sure. Craig, you're up next, round 3. We finally got our much needed cornerback.
Yeah, going to be interesting to see where he plays and where he appears on depth charts, but we'll get into that at the end. So, with the 70th pick in the draft, our round 3 selection was cornerback Andru Phillips. Phillips enrolled in Magdalen High School as a freshman and played on the junior varsity team before getting called up to full varsity later on in the season. He spent the next 3 years playing in Magdalen, recording 4 interceptions and 82 tackles. His senior season contributions saw him named first team All-State and also got him a Shrine Bowl invite. Andru committed to Kentucky in 2020 before redshirting for the season, appearing in just 4 games. Over the next 3 seasons, Phillips would appear in a further 34 games, starting 16 of them. During his college tenure, he would record 10 pass breakups, 80 tackles, 3 sacks, but interestingly, no interceptions. He would also only be a full-time starter in his final year. Now, despite not getting any accolades in the college game, Phillips would be invited to the Senior Bowl, where he flashed against the event's top wide receivers. He predominantly played as the slot cornerback. Remember that. He would show off his physical side, winning his fair share of one-on-one reps against the wide receivers at the Senior Bowl. Shane, can you remember any of the wide receivers who were at the Senior Bowl, just out of interest? It's one thing I forgot to look up on this.
I want to say Ted Walker, Xavier Leggett, Lad McConkey potentially.
So some of the names that went in the second round or even first round in regards to a couple of them. So he's got acumen there, and he's already gone up against some of the receivers that were taken above him. If you look at his strengths and weaknesses, his strengths competes with a physical mindset and looks to reroute receivers early, fluent in multiple techniques, press, bail, side turn, etc. Thanks to his footwork and acceleration control. Will find himself in compromised positions because of his aggression, but he has the make-up speed to quickly recover, and he also anticipates well from depth to drive and disrupt. Now, his weaknesses: will lose the size battle against most NFL wide receivers. Didn't record an interception in college, which is obviously a bit of a negative in a cornerback room that hasn't been known for interceptions over the last few years. Didn't play with a large catch radius on tape, and well-placed throws were often completed. His hands-on approach will attract attention from officials, but I think that the same was said about Dante Banks, and I don't think we saw too many issues there. He did have 2 pass interference penalties in 2023 versus Missouri, though. Overall, Phillips falls short in a few categories, which can lead to some in-game volatility. He is battle-tested, though, with the athletics instincts and feisty toughness that will translate to any level of football. He won't be a fit for every team, but offers inside-outside versatility with immediate special teams value. Pre-draft, and just while we're mentioning about pre-draft, I just want to say a quick thank you to James Gardner, who is just saying about our work on the draft Bible and how he was using it for not just our picks, but other teams' picks as well. In the draft Bible, we had Phillips ranked as Dane Brugler's CB9, and Jordan Reed had him ranked as the 71st best player in his top 400. Dan has just given me some of the names of the wide receivers that appeared at the Senior Bowl opposite Andrew Phillips. So Roman Wilson, Brendan Rice, Johnny Wilson, Malachi Corley, Ladd McConkey, Tez Walker, Ricky Pearsall, Xavier Legette. There are plenty more there. I won't go and read all of them, but there's some of the big names that went in the first few rounds. And then if you look at the draft grades for Phillips here, The Athletic gave him an A, one of the most versatile corners in the draft. Phillips can play inside or outside, even safety if need be. Very physical, hyper competitive, and will find a way to get on the field immediately. PFF gave it a good, saying his career best 23 stops led all SEC cornerbacks in 2023, and his 72.9 coverage grade was also the best mark of his career. And then ESPN Matt Miller said that Phillips has proven that he can play slot cornerback or split out wide, with his snap count in college equally split between the two. He's a proven zone coverage corner coming out of the Kentucky defense and fits the mold of new defensive coordinator Shane Bowen's scheme. Shane, this one's been quite divisive, I think, is fair to say. I know that potentially the Talking Giants guys weren't exactly enamored with the pick. I know that you kind of see the Athletic give him an A there, but I've seen lots of people giving him, giving the pick a C+. How do you see it, and do you see him projecting as the slot with Flott maybe moving out to outside cornerback, or maybe a little bit of a switcheroo between the two of them?
Probably the best way to describe it is polarizing. That's kind of the best word I can kind of associate with him. It's definitely one of those picks that I think the experts in the analysis folks are a bit more on board with than what the fan base is. And I think that purely comes down to the fact he's being touted as potentially playing in the slot, and as you say, Cordell going out wide. I mean, I don't know about you guys. I personally would rather have drafted an outside guy rather than drafted a guy to play the slot and push another guy outside who's never really played outside. We all said that Cordell was probably better suited to the slot because of his position and his size, and I don't think his size has changed much unless he's been on the bulk powder the last month or so. But he's polarizing, and I think it's going to be the one that you look back on, and I think it could one of two ways. The likes of Nabers and Nubin, you kind of expect them to do well. Whereas this one, it wouldn't surprise you if he kind of turned into a solid, reliable starter, but it wouldn't surprise you if he turned out to be a bust as well.
I mean, I kind of like the Andru Phillips pickup. I'm not going to lie. I think he does fit Shane Bowe's scheme quite well on the face of it. And what did I read about him? He's an aggressive run defender, and our run defense has been ropey at best over the last few years. So I like that he's an aggressive run defender, and he's a powerful tackler as well. And as long as he's a powerful tackler and makes those tackles and doesn't have a lot of missed tackles, that's a huge thing. We had a sort of big focus on last year, was trying to sort of get those missed tackles down. And as long as he can, finish his tackles, that's a really good sign. I think it's for a round 3 pickup. I'm fairly happy with Andru Phillips. Those first 3, selections overall, not bad at all, really. And like I said, the analysts and everything have graded it pretty well as well. We do have a little bit of breaking news. I did see something in the comments. David Long Jr. Thanks for that, Jamie. Craig, what we got about Mr. David Long Jr.?
So he is 5'11", 196 pounds, was originally a third-round draft choice by the Rams in 2019, has spent his first 4 seasons with the Rams before playing for 3 teams in 2023, the Raiders, Panthers, and the Packers. Appeared in 66 regular season games with 12 starts, 97 tackles, 8 passes defended, and an interception. He's also played in 6 postseason games with 1 start, which occurred in the Rams' victory over the Bengals in the Super Bowl win. LA native, was a 2-year letterman at University of Michigan, where he was a 2-time All-Big Ten honoree. He played 30 games in college, including 26 starts at cornerback. Looks like Kev is pretty happy with this one. Joe Cook. We kind of knew that this is where we were potentially weakest, and it just happens that we happen to be talking about Andru Phillips just as the sort of David Long news drops. Obviously, there are bigger names out there, but I think if you look at the money we have, the money that's tied up in Darren Waller's pocket at the moment, and the fact that Joe Shane seems relatively reluctant to do any kind of restructuring at the moment, I'm pretty happy with it. Any more competition in that DB room is great, and especially a veteran, which he may have only played 5 seasons so far in the league. He's probably our most experienced DB already in that room. Shane, what are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I quite like it, to be honest. As you say, it's that veteran presence that we kind of need. I mean, if you look at I think the veteran presence in that room pre-David Long is Darnay Holmes
or Nick McLeod.
Yeah,
Kev said he's only just turned 26, and we're calling him a veteran presence.
But when you think that he's going to be pairing up with, 1-year vet in Tay Banks, a rookie in Andru Phillips, 2-year vet in Cordell Flott, although he's only, that's still, Trey Hawkins, 1 year in the league and didn't really play much. It's still going to be a presence. And the other thing as well is familiarity with the DC. So, if the DC, if Shane Bowen wants to install something, you've got a guy there that knows it and can maybe help out the cornerbacks and say, look, this is what he likes, this is what he doesn't like, this is what he's trying to get across to you. Can just be that bridge between the DC that he knows very well and his teammates in that DB room.
Yeah, veteran presence was always needed, wasn't it, Dan?
Yeah, man, big time. We had a very, very young DB room. Like I said, he's only just turned 26, but he's got that 5 years in the league, since he was drafted in 2019. So this will be his 6th year. So he's got a lot of experience. His most productive year being 2021, played in all 16 games, 40 total tackles, 35 solo, 5 assisted, 1 interception for 1 yard and 4 passes defended. So he's he's got the numbers there to back himself up, and looking forward to bringing that veteran presence into that debut room for sure.
Is it time for Shane to talk about his boy?
It is time for Shane to talk about his boy, someone he knows very well. We'll pass it off to Shane. Go on.
Disclaimer: I did not ask for this. I just got given. I'll get given. I didn't.
Fell nice in your lap.
Yeah, I didn't bang the table saying, "Oh, please let me talk about Theo Johnson." But yeah, our next draft pick, number 107 overall, was Theo Johnson, tight end out of We Are Penn State. He attended Holy Names Catholic High School in Windsor, Canada, where he was a wide receiver. During his 2-year at Letterman, he caught 18 touchdowns on the way to lead the program to back-to-back city and regional championships. He was also named All-City and All-Canada both years. Going into college, he had offers from Alabama, Georgia, Iowa, Michigan, and Ohio State, but obviously committed to Penn State. You know, them little minor schools, you didn't want to attend them. In his 4 seasons with Penn State, he started 29 of the 45 games he played, catching the ball 77 times for a total of 938 yards, 382 yards of which were after the catch, and 12 touchdowns. During his senior years, he set career highs in catches, yards, and touchdowns, with his breakout seeing him given an honourable mention in the All-Big Ten nomination. At Penn State, he won both their Iron Lion Award and the Team Lions Pride Outstanding Senior Player Award. He was also a McKay Award, which is the nation's best tight end semi-finalist. In regards to his strengths and weaknesses, strengths are that, not my words, he's a good-looking athlete. With ideal size and speed measurements for the position. He's a smooth mover with fluid control of his body as a route runner. Are we on about his football skills here? Because I feel like this is like a dating profile or something. With fluid control.
You're selling him, Shane. Come on, you're selling him.
Fluid control of his body as a route runner and at the catch point. He had the best short shuttle among tight ends at the combine. Snares the ball well in stride and quickly secures it to protect the catch. And he has no problems expanding his catch radius to climb the ladder and adjust to inaccurate passes. Now, his weaknesses, he runs predictable routes and tells to defenders on his intended path. He has the balance to make the first man miss, just doesn't do it enough. Only 2 catches of 25 plus yards in 2023. And he also has a below average career production. He had fewer than 1,000 receiving yards.
That's the best comment we've had all night. Has Shane accidentally downloaded his Tinder profile?
Johnson has inconsistent college tape and production, but he does have an A+ measurements and smooth athletic tools that could allow him to continue developing and become a better pro than college player. Although he's a work in progress, he's a worthy long-term investment for an NFL team. In pre-draft rankings, Johnson was ranked as Dane Brugler's tight end 3. I don't know where he went off the board, but I'm sure he was not tight end 3. I'm thinking he might have been about tight end 4 or 5 potentially. And Jordan Reed had him ranked as the 93rd best player in his top 400. Once again, we took him at 107, so got value there. In regards to the draft grade, CBS Sports Chris Trapasso gave it a B+, stating he's an elite tester, huge frame with intimidating length. Was a low volume option at Penn State, but has the explosive chops to become a better receiver in the pros. Easy drops on film, but counters with contested catches. And Bleacher Report's Brent Sobleski also gave a B+, stating with Darren Waller undecided about whether he plans to play this season. This is a vital pickup at this point in the draft. Johnson may not have been highly productive, but he screams future starter and is another threat in the receiving game to help quarterback Daniel Jones.
There were a few things that I was laughing at there. First of all, what was it? What was the huge frame with intimidating length has made me chuckle. Also, Holty, I'm not sure what's happened behind me, but the ghost has clearly had a go at the flag. So thanks. Shane, I just want you to respond to Holty here. All these offers, he chose Penn State. What a lack of ambition.
I'm going to rise above that comment.
Rise above it. Any other comments coming about Theo Johnson?
Tools length, definitely Tinder profile.
I think this section might be making its way onto TikTok.
Yeah, a little bit.
Likes Kittle and says he models his game like him is something that Jamie said. I've completely lost all of my thought process.
I mean, I'll take that, to be fair. If he likes George Kittle and models his game on him, he's a top tight end in the league, and he was, him himself. He was a later round pick. I can't remember what round he was exactly, but he was a later round pick. So I like this pickup of Theo Johnson. I think he's potentially got a lot to bring to the team. He's quick. His 40 at the combine was at the 4.57, I think it was. That was a really, really fast 40-yard dash for a tight end. And he just I think he looks. We needed that help in the tight end room, especially with the whole Waller situation with him likely being gone. I was really, really happy with the 4th round pick that Shane Day's made.
Yeah, Jamie's saying there's a documentary on YouTube that's well worth, and great strength great strength shown by his mum and family of 6 brothers. So just a sort of total clarity on that, and just a few things. So the player history was something that I put together for each of these players, and I did read about Theo Johnson's obviously history with his dad and everything like that. But I thought we'd omit that from what we're kind of trying to put across here. It was more about the player and less about sort of the upbringing, but I do 100% recommend going to watch that documentary. I can also back Shane up and say that the strengths, weaknesses, and overall was taken from Dane Brugler's The Beast and not written from Shane's diary from Theo Johnson's time at Penn State.
Dear diary, Theo Johnson, great length, great arm. I love it. Is it nice to have another Penn State alumni in Giants blue, Shane?
Yeah, I mean, we got rid of one and we're not going to talk about it anymore. We've brought in another one. So, I mean, there's a little bit of a Penn State connection. Obviously, we had that one we've spoke about. We had Grant Haley a few years ago. We've had, his name's gone out my head. Cam Brown. Cam Brown was Penn State as well. Obviously, they've all kind of moved on there, but, Dave's and Shane are smart people, and they know that you want to keep smart players around and bring in someone. But literally, I will just say, I want a Nabers jersey, I want a Nubin jersey, I want a Johnson jersey. My bank balance is not that rich at the minute. All 3, I really, really want.
You're gonna have to save your pennies, Shane, aren't you? Let's face it.
Save those for create an account on some form of website. I'm sure people can tell me about it in my DMs.
I'm sure they probably could. All right, let's move on to round 5 then. Day 3 continued with the 166th overall pick, and we selected running back Tyrone Tracy Jr. out of Purdue University. So he attended high school at Decatur Central in Indianapolis, where he started as a running back and returner. However, as a junior, he would start to make an impact catching the ball. His career receiving yards of 2,643, receiving touchdowns of 33, and total touchdowns of 77 in total are all Decatur records. And during his senior year, he was named Gatorade Player of the Year in the whole state of Indiana, as well as first team All-County and All-State for the 3 straight seasons. He committed to Iowa as a receiver in 2018 and spent 4 years there, recording 871 yards, 4 touchdowns. In 2021, he entered the NCAA portal and transferred to Purdue, where in the second season, he would convert to a running back. In his first season as a back, he'd have 113 carries for 716 yards and 8 touchdowns. One thing to note with him is that last year he had 411 return yards, 408 of those as a kick returner with 1 touchdown. So another name to add to the return game for sure. Strengths then, he well-built athlete with above average speed, shifty cutting skills to make steep backside cuts and quickly clear the first wave. He averaged almost 4.5 yards after contact last year. He adjusts his pace to shake defenders in space, has enough run strength to drive through uncommitted tackles. receiver background shows when he's targeted out of the backfield as well. Weaknesses, he's inconsistent in anticipating run lanes, and his eyes get a bit too big for his appetite. He needs to be more efficient pressing and setting up blocks, and he can get a bit overly patient on some runs and too impatient on others as well. But overall, he needs to improve his decision-making at the line of scrimmage, but he can create with his quick lateral cuts and contact balance, and he can stay on the field on passing downs as well. He's a multi-dimensional threat as a rusher, receiver, and a special teamer, which increases his chances of a commanding NFL roster spot, hopefully, with the Giants. Pre-draft, he was ranked as Dane Brugler's running back 11, and Jordan Reed had him ranked as 148th best player in his top 400. The draft grades from the analysts, CBS Sports, Chris Trapasso graded him as an A, saying he's got incredible bounce and agility to make defenders miss when they're ready to make the tackle. He's got some breakaway speed too, and contact balance is good, but not great. At times, he seems tentative hitting the hole, but has the goods to make more than what's blocked. PFF graded him as very good. Tracy's a good athlete and should add some explosiveness to a backfield led by Devin Singletary, despite being a 6-year player in college. He's only missed one season at running back, and he forced 46 missed tackles on only 114 carries in that season. One thing I did read up about Tyrone Tracy as well is Phil Yates of ESPN absolutely loved the pick and rates it among the entire draft's best value picks in the 5th round with the 166th overall pick. And there's been a lot of positivity about Tyrone Tracy as well. It seems like it's a very popular pickup for a day 3 pick, that's for sure. Shane, what do you make of him?
Yeah, I don't mind Tyrone Tracy. I think I might have had him as like RB 6, 7, or 8. I can't quite remember. He's definitely in my top 10 though. But like from listening to a lot of people talking, there's a lot of belief that maybe this is a draft pick with one eye on the new return game. So it'd be interesting to see. But I mean, even if we have drafted him with kind of one eye on him being a returner, there's an opportunity there for him to earn snaps in as a running back at the end of the day. Like, you know, we've brought in Devin Singletary, and kind of behind that, we've not seen much from Eric Gray. Our mate Gary, I mean, is this finally the year that our mate Gary sort of kind of parts ways with the New York Football Giants? And then who's the lad we signed the other week? Deontay
Miller. So that was what I was gonna mention Miller actually as being a potential kind of like hit. The speed he has and the speed that Tracy has could be quite a nice complement to someone like Singletary that could see, you know, Eric Gray maybe pushed down a little bit as well.
Yeah, I mean, look for me. I mean, I was banging the table numerous times for Braylon Allen. I really wanted Braylon Allen. I'm a massive Braylon Allen guy. But outside of that, I'd like the Giants one of the years to just draft a proper north-south runner, someone who's going to see contact, lower his shoulder pads, blast through and get an extra 3 or 4 yards. So I feel like we've not had that kind of running back in years, probably in my time as a New York Giants fan, which obviously is not that long compared to you guys in particular. But sometimes I just wish that we could just have that tough SOB who's going to, you know, 4th and 2, bam, straight through. Even if he gets contact, he's still going to get a yard or 2.
A la Brandon Jacobs. That's a name that comes to mind.
Yeah, I was trying to think of weirdly the only running backs names that came to mind were Penny and Gorman. that shows how indoctrinated I've been with running backs.
Yeah, very true. What do you make of him, Craig? Good pickup?
Yeah, I think it's a good pickup, and I think Shane's absolutely nailed it with this is a potential wrinkle on the whole Gunner Olszewski kind of, you know, Gunner's probably going to be the punt returner. New kickoff rules kind of push you towards speed more, if that makes sense. Like, because of the engagement between the two teams, looking for someone who can break through and then is gone. I think Tracy's a really good option there. And let's not forget that he has only been a pure running back for the last year. Before that, he was a wide receiver, so you know that he's good with his hands. He still caught the ball out of the backfield last year as well. It wasn't like they solely used him as a wide receiver, as a running back. Sorry, so there's definitely still skills there that he already has in securing the football.
Yeah, I've been watched the little bit of tape I have seen on him. He does show sort of that good sort of burst of speed and power, sort of like getting through the line and getting through the holes. And he seems to, when he does get stopped, he seems to keep his legs churning, which you do want to see. And he ran out. I've got the stat here. Where is it? 4.4840 at his pro day. So again, he's quick. His sub 4.5 40-yard dash is not a bad shout for a fifth round pick. So yeah, Tyrone, Tracy, I like that pickup for sure.
Quick, smart, dependable. Is that going to be our new motto for this year?
Quite possibly.
Theo Johnson's not slow, is he? For a tight end.
No.
Actually, I don't want to go back too long on Theo Johnson, but I just wanted to point out his RAS score was a perfect 10, right? Like he's one of the only prospects to get a perfect 10 in this year's draft.
There wasn't many, was there?
And I think that's one thing to kind of to highlight with these sort of day 3 picks is it's all about projection and athleticism and less about kind of production and the kind of acumens that you're going to be looking in your round 1 and 2. So that the fact that a lot of I'll be interested to see what the average RAS is for the 6 picks this year, because I assume it's going to be in the high 9s at least.
I think Nubin might be the only one who was poor. I think Nubin posted like a 3.5 or something, but he was coming off the back of an injury as well.
Mm-hmm.
That's fair. All right, then. Our last selection of this year's draft. Craig, round us out.
Shane. Muasau?
Is it Shane?
No, it's me. I'm just checking with Shane that I can actually pronounce this. Is it Darius Muasau?
Muasau, isn't it?
Yeah, we'll go with that.
Muasau. Let's call him Muasau.
Butchered, essentially. He went to high school in Miliani. I can't even say it. He went to high school in Hawaii.
There we go.
High school in Hawaii, where he moved up to varsity as a sophomore, playing both running back and linebacker. As a senior, he was named the 2018 Defensive Player of the Year as he finished with 27 tackles, 38.5 tackles for loss, and 2 interceptions. The only Division 1 FBS offer he got was from Hawaii, who he would spend 3 years with, playing in 37 games, recording 274 tackles, 11.5 sacks and 1 interception. He would then transfer to UCLA, where he would play and start in 26 games, recording 166 tackles, 5 sacks, 1 forced fumble, and 3 interceptions. He was highly decorated during his college tenure, winning special teams MVP once and first team all NWC twice during his time at Hawaii. At UCLA, he would be named second team all Pac-12 twice and would lead the team in tackles in both years. He was also named the defensive MVP at the LA Bowl. His strengths and weaknesses: his strengths, physical, alert, run defender, good eyes to key, read and feel, arriving quickly to work around blockers. He scrapes well laterally with enough range to play sideline to sideline, has a good feel for where ball carriers are going to be, not where they are, and improved tackling discipline on his 2023 tape. Weaknesses: has some straight line tendencies and false steps that lead to trouble. Shifty runners can shake him in the hole. Reads the field well, but needs to improve his ability to decipher the eye candy before it's too late. Has the hand strength to fit up blockers, but he lacks ideal arm length and his shed mechanics are inconsistent. And overall, he might not be elite in any one area, but he is a well-rounded linebacker with the play recognition and tackling skills that will translate to any level. Similar in a way to, and I'm going to butcher this one as well, Sione Takitaki. He projects as an NFL backup who can hold his own when he sees the field. What a great name. He was ranked as Brugler's LB16, and Jordan Reed had him ranked as the 221st player in his top 400. If you look at the draft grades and the publications analysts have put out, Chris Trapasso has said that he has no hesitation is a no hesitation off-ball linebacker with length deficiency, quicker than fast, but plays with good speed because of how fast he reacts to what he sees happening. Unafraid to meet blockers in the hole and give them a jolt, and he graded that an A. And NFL.com's Eric Edholm said he reminded him a bit of former Vikings linebacker Kentrell Brothers, a short but stout hitter, playmaker around the line of scrimmage, whose coverage deficiencies are a bit worrisome. So, Shane, how much scouting did you do on him?
Not a lot, in all honesty. I've watched more tape on him since we've drafted him and learned a little bit more about him. I mean, like just referring to the RAS, just whilst we were on about, just he did put up a 5.73 RAS score, which would be the second lowest, I believe, of the players that we drafted after he posted a 4.7 40-yard dash. But I think what I'll play a part into that RAS score is he's only 6 foot, so he's a little bit undersized for the position. But I mean, again, this is another one that's been touted as a potential special teams draft pick. But I think he's one of these players that if he sees time on the field, and you know, I firmly believe there is going to be genuine opportunity for him to win starting snaps at the linebacker position. I think he's going to be one of them players that fans all really root for, to be honest with you. You know, he's very aggressive and another instinctive kind of player. And that's all you want from your linebackers. You want your linebackers to be instinctive and aggressive. If they're doing them two things, they're going to be in the right positions at the right times. So, you know, I think he's going to be one of them that he's probably going to earn his way onto the roster via special teams. But if he does get that opportunity, I really won't be surprised if he sees it with both fans and kind of it becomes a little bit of a fan favourite, shall we say.
I guess this is the kind of natural replacement for what Cam Brown offered to the team over the last few years in the special teams acumen, but with the ability to sort of muck in as and when.
Yeah. I think I read let me just find it, a stat from Doug Analytics. There we go. So his favourite stat for Muasau, so his adjusted tackle depth is 25% better than average in total. Is fourth in the entire 2023 draft class of 125. So adjusted tackle depth plus compares actual tackle depth to the expected tackle depth based on personnel, intended run gap, and the defender's pre-snap alignment. So to have the fourth highest ATD plus in the entire 2024 draft class, it's not bad going. So yeah, I think it'll definitely be a body for special teams, but I think he could still add something in rotation with the other linebackers on the field for sure. He seems like he's a hard tackler as well. So again, I think and a quick one as well. So again, I think he matches that smart, tough, dependable matcher, or fast, tough, dependable matcher. Put it that way.
I mean, we'll come on to it more over the months, but he's definitely kind of a name that you're going to want to keep an eye out for in pre-season.
Yeah, definitely. These later round draft picks are the ones that they've got a lot to prove in pre-season as to why they should be there on the final 53. You know, the first three, probably even for Theo Johnson as well, probably they're likely to get a spot on the 53. But it's these last two, Tyrone, Tracy, special teams, Muasau, special teams. They've got to fight their way, and there's going to be plenty of battles in camp to get on that final roster. But yeah, I think we'll be keeping a close eye on him as we go through the pre-season. That's for sure.
I'm just thinking, have any of Joe Shane's draft picks ever been not made it onto the 53?
Good question.
That's a good shout.
I mean, Beavers. I'm just looking at the 20. I know for a fact all the players last year made the roster, and then the year before, Darian Beavers ended up on IR. But otherwise, all of Shane's draft picks have made the 53. So it'd be, an interesting one to see whether they keep up with that mantra this year.
It's interesting as well if you think about the linebackers that we have. So Bobby, Micah, Simmons. Are we going to classify Simmons as probably being a linebacker? Safety hybrid?
I think until we see.
Yeah. Carter Coughlin.
Beavers,
Muasau. So just for some context on... Sorry?
I'm sure there's another one as well who we saw into the practice squad last year in the UDFA.
Yeah. So just for context, in Joe Shane and Brian Dable's last 2 years, they've only had 5 linebackers in the 53-man roster. So
as linebackers, I'm guessing. Yeah.
As linebackers.
Cool. How many got on the roster at the moment? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 linebackers on the roster. Technically 14 as well.
Technically, we've got 8 if you just count inside backers. Because the likes of Thibodeau, Whitley, Aziz,
Edge,
Burns, the classes linebackers, but essentially they're
outside linebackers. Yeah. And then add in Muasau as well, so that's another one to add to the pile. But I'm just looking forward to camp now. I'm looking forward to seeing these battles now. We're not far away from rookie mini camp. That's coming up in 2 weeks' time. Yeah, so it just keeps churning, doesn't it, really? It just keeps going. And before we know it, it'll be training camp and the season will be just around the corner. It's only 4 months away. Get in. 4 months away from football. Come on. Alrighty. Anything else to add on any of the draft picks?
No, just that I'm not going to beat around the bush. I have done a 2025 mock draft already.
Shocker.
Want to enlighten us on the selection, Shane? Quarterback round 1.
Carson Beck.
Quarterback all day long. You know how much it paid me not to step Drew Alla there.
It's interesting.
Next year, oh God, you think Kev's a fanboy? Wow.
It's interesting actually because if you look at the projections for the picks, we are projected as having the number 2 pick behind the Pats.
Interesting.
At the moment, a lot of the mock drafts are using this year's order, which is obviously never going to happen in a million years. But yeah, a lot of them are set. A lot of the analyst mock draft, have us at 2. Holty makes a good point. In 2 weeks' time, the schedule releases out, and then we can start planning the Big Blue UK and Ireland meetups.
We can indeed. When does that come out? It's 10th. Is it 10th of May? 9th of May, 10th of May, something like that, isn't it?
They haven't announced it. It's normally the second week in a second full week in May. So, from now, we're probably looking at 16th, maybe 15th, 16th, 17th. So 2 weeks from today, potentially.
Sweet.
Also noticed a rumour killer potentially on the Panthers in Munich in the fact that there is a Arizona Cardinals travel group in the United States who are saying that they are just waiting on the official confirmation so they can start planning for Cardinals Panthers in Munich. So could kill that rumour.
It looks like it's a no-go for Germany, but just means New York, here we come, right? Surely. And on that note, exactly. On that note, there you have it. It's our rookie class of 2024. Did Shane and Dabes nail it? We'll have to wait and see, but that is all we've got time for this week. However, the boys will be back next week, same time, same place, as Kev will be back with us to give his thoughts on the draft class. Plus, Shane and Kev will give us the breakdowns on their scouting reports of the players as well. I won't be here because I'll be on holiday, so my more than capable substitute Craig will be filling in for me in hosting duties. Anything else to add before we go, guys?
No, just, obviously NFL season's done, free agency's done, the draft's done, but the podcast content's not going to stop. We've got loads of things planned. Hopefully by you tuning in every week, it makes it go quicker for us for the season coming round, and hopefully make it feel quicker for yourselves as well. Once again, thank you ever so much to everybody last week who kind of participated in any way, whether it was on Twitter during the day, live stream on the night, donating to Andy's Man Club, comments about the draft Bible, etc. It all genuinely is appreciated and does mean a lot to us. And then just lastly from me, like I said at the start of the show, we are setting up a Big Blue UK and Ireland Dynasty League. Plan is for this to be running for years, all being well. If you are interested, please do drop us a DM. There'll be about 8 spots available. We're going to keep it to a 12-man league. If you've got any questions about sleep, you've never used it before, if you've got any questions at all about Dynasty or fantasy football in general, just drop us a DM and we'll do our best to answer it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been good going through the draft. It feels like the draft content rumbled on and rumbled on and rumbled on, and we put the Bible out, and then we improved the Bible to version 2, and we did so much prep and research, and then after a 5.5-hour live stream, it ended, and that was it. Like the draft just almost cut as soon as Saturday was over. So it's been weird, but we're getting back into the swing of things again now.
Yeah, there is, like Shane said, this is the end to sort of this part of the NFL season, but the next part keeps rolling. We're going to come around to mini camps. We're coming around to schedule release, like we just talked about. So there's a lot more to come over the next sort of 3-4 weeks, and then we sort of carry on into the off season, even more into the summer. And definitely doing these podcasts every week help. And it doesn't make it seem like it's as long between the season as it used to. So, and thanks for tuning in and watching along with us. Like I said next week I'm off for the week, so I'm going to enjoy my week off. But I'm sure Craig will be more than capable to fill in. But I'm looking forward to watching and listening along as a viewer. As I said at the top as well, you can check out all of our social platforms by following the links in the description, and give this episode a like and a share on your platform of choice. Thanks to everyone that's tuned in tonight. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you've had a nice chilled Wednesday evening. Listen to us guys talk about the Giants 2024 draft class. But my thanks as ever go to Shane and to Craig for joining me, to you, the viewers and the listeners, for tuning in. We are signing off until next time. Let's go Giants.